All right, so I want to welcome everyone to the June 18th, 2026 regular meeting of the Fairfield Traffic Authority. And I'd like to do the roll call here. First, we have members Kevin Kiley, Frank Patisse, Captain Irizarry here in person. Online, do I see a member Anthony Calabrese? Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Emmeline Harrigan is here. I see her. There's 5 members. And I see Jeff Randolph, who is an alternate who will become a voting member at the meeting this evening remotely as well. Thanks for being here, Jeff. So we do have 6 active members of the 7-member commission in order to have our meeting. So at this moment, I'll go down to item number 2. I want to give Prue just a second to get back to her desk. Prue is taking minutes for the meeting. And then we could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask Mr. Frank Patisse to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Before we go to item number 3 for the minutes, I do want to take just a moment of personal privilege here as chairman to let everyone know here and online that there is one item that we are not taking up tonight. So if anyone's here for that item, we will not be discussing it with the board, with the public, or taking a vote on it. That's item 5D, which is the implementation of the MUTCD slow school zone ahead advanced pavement markings on a number of school corridors. I am going to remove that from the agenda. We will take it up under separate cover at a meeting in the future. And the reasons are pretty simple. The backup associated with that item was not complete or attached to the meeting agenda. Therefore, it's not a complete agenda in my opinion. And it's part of a bigger picture project that's out there, a couple of bigger picture projects, I should say. And we will be looking at painting markings at all of our schools, or these schools included, at some point at a future meeting, sooner than later, just so everyone is aware of that. So we will be taking 5D off tonight's agenda. Can you hear me? Is somebody up there saying they, oh, Emmeline, can you hear us? You're good? Okay. All right, so I want to proceed with the rest of the agenda, with everyone knowing that 5D is off. If anyone's here for that, my apologies. Thank you for coming out, and we will take that up at another time. We'll go to item 3, which is to consider and act upon the meeting minutes from the May 21st, 2026 regular meeting. The minutes are before us. Would you like to move the minutes, please?
I'd like to move the minutes.
I'll second them. Our May 21 meeting minutes are in front of us. Any comments, amendments on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in, oh, yes, ma'am.
I was not at that meeting, so I'm just going to abstain from that particular vote.
You bet. Thank you, Emmeline. Anything else from commission members on the minutes?
I wasn't there either, so I'm going to abstain as well.
Fantastic. Okay, good. Thank you, Jeff. Anything else? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 2 abstentions. All right, the minutes carry 402. All right, we'll go to item number 4. To hear, consider, and act upon the designation of Lucas J. Thomas, Republican, 1230 Merritt Street, Fairfield, Connecticut, 06825, as the citation hearing officer for the Fairfield Traffic Authority pursuant to section 102-12C of the Fairfield Town Code. So I'm going to move that item for consideration. If somebody would second it?
Seconded.
Seconded by Captain Irizarry. That is before us. The gist of it here, Mr. Thomas is here to meet us and answer any questions that the board may have of him. You don't have to come up, but you're welcome to. You're welcome to come up. And Mr. Thomas currently handles the appeals for the parking authority. All right.
It's currently the part for the police departments for the parking tickets, and then also for the blight.
For the blight.
And then we've bifurcated. I also do citations for planning and zoning.
All right,
And I've been doing it for over 8 years now.
fantastic. He comes to us well-respected and well-recommended as a person who has dealt with appeals and issues like this for our citizens on a fair and consistent basis.
In addition, I'm also the chair of the Conservation and Inland Wetlands.
That's correct. I forgot about that. Thank you. All right. So a well-rounded attorney to help us hear appeals on parking tickets. It falls under the authority of the Fairfield Traffic Authority, which is this commission, to either have an internal appeals process, which is not practical based on the makeup of the committee, or to have the designee. So what is before us is to make Mr. Thomas that designee to hear appeals when that process gets up and running. Do you have any further comments, Mr. Thomas?
Just to let you know that I've had preliminary sessions, if you want to call them, with Element and those people, and I'm familiar with the platform now, so I'm up to speed and ready to go. We've already scheduled our first session July 8th.
So you're up to speed with the regulations and the issues and all of those things?
All of it, and it's, yeah, ready to go.
Fantastic. All right. I'll go to the board for comments, questions on item number 4. Mr. Randolph.
Could you just generally describe what the role will be, just to inform us?
Sure. It will be very similar to, first of all, our town has ordinances that describe how a hearing would go forward and how an appeal is done. This particular one is slightly different because there's only 6, I think, available defenses. And we will, at the first meeting, it will be a bit of a trial. It's our first time because it's a little bit different than the parking that Suzanne does a wonderful job with the parking tickets. There will be a docket. That docket will be provided to us by the company. And I will do my best at that first meeting to go through with it. I will, each individual will have the opportunity to come in front of me and provide me their defense. It's my understanding that the first week or two, the actual program didn't have the available defenses. So some of the first, I read some of them already, some of the first appeals have, I didn't know, it was just not valid defenses. Let's put it that way. They weren't valid defenses. So I will deal with that with those folks. But going forward, there's only a limited amount of defenses that the statute allows. So they would have to fall under that. And give them the deference that they would deserve to talk to me, and I would make a decision. And then our ordinance has language for them to do if they want to appeal even further to the Superior Court. We'll leave it at that.
My fault. May I please ask you to go to the
Sorry.
podium? I should have thought about that.
I
If there
apologize.
are any other questions, no, it's my
Yeah.
fault for not directing you. So this is Mr. Thomas, the 1230 Merritt Street.
Yes.
Mr. Randolph.
Yeah, and so just to clarify, so it sounds like you'll primarily be hearing appeals from people who've been cited for tickets in the traffic zone. Is that the focus?
That's exactly what this is. So
Okay.
so they get I guess I'll start from, somebody goes through any one of the 6 zones, and they go over, I believe it's 1 mile over 10 miles an hour. So at the 11-mile mark, they'll be issued, it goes through the whole other process. It gets reviewed and everything. But once it goes through that process and there's a ticket issued, that ticket, the violator has a certain amount of time, I want to say 10 days or 10 days to appeal. If they do appeal, that goes to the company and schedules puts it on the docket. And then my availability is the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of the month. So we're scheduling them from 2 to 6. And then however I get through them, I get through them. And the folks that do appeal will only have certain available defenses. They'd have to fall into those defenses. They're going to be on the platform. They can click on it, and it goes through.
Thank you, sir. So Jeff, the short answer is yes. He will be hearing the appeals on camera speeding tickets issued to folks that get them.
Through the chair. God bless you. That's gonna be a hard job. So.
Yeah, so this is a first from what I understand. I thought that there were others, I guess, but this is a first, so we're going to work through it. And I will be as equitable as I can be to make everybody understand. There might be some bumps the first session or two, but I think we will get to where we need to be. And hopefully everybody slows down anyway, but.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Any further questions by the board? Okay. All right. All right. Anything else? Okay. All right, we're going to go to a vote on this appointment by the Fairfield Traffic Authority. All right, by the members of the commission. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 1, 2, 3. That carries 6-0. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations and welcome. And we are here to support you in your endeavors. And even if it's bumpy, we're here for you.
Thank you.
You bet. All right. I just want to reiterate, because a few folks have joined the meeting online and a couple folks have come into the meeting since we started. There's one item on the agenda that we are not hearing tonight or discussing. It's item 5D, which is the MUTC compliant slow school zone ahead advanced pavement markings. So we are not taking that item up tonight. So if you are here or online for that particular item, my apologies, but it is not going to be discussed or debated tonight. Okay? Okay, so we're going to move on to item 5. We now have 3 items under item 5 versus 4 because we removed letter D. So 5A is to hear, consider, and act upon the following requests at the following locations. A is the bike lanes at Mill Plain Road. So I will move item 5A. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a second to item 5A. These are the bike lanes on Mill Plain Road that we have talked about in the past. And our engineering team is not here. We are short a couple engineering folks who are typically here. Meg Jane and Bill Hurley are both out of the office. So Frank, do you want to take a crack at refreshing us on this, on what we talked about in the past?
Yes.
What this proposal is, et cetera.
Sure. So we have a bicycle master plan in the town. This road is recognized on there as one of our bike routes. And, we've done some outreach with the neighborhood there over a number of years. There is a petition, I believe, from 24 supporting protected bike lanes on Mill Plain Road. And we're kind of waiting till we pave the road to implement this. The road's now been paved. So we're looking to move forward with implementing a protected bike lane on Mill Plain Road. It is from, we didn't specify it on the agenda, but we were going to do Unclewell all the way up, but the paved part is just Brookside to Round Hill. So the proposal before us would be to, and I can make a motion to amend or however you want to handle that.
To shorten that distance?
Well, no, it's from Unclewell all the way to Brookside.
To Brookside, excuse
me. So it
me.
includes the section we didn't pave recently.
Oh, that's right. Okay. All right.
That is the proposal. Like I said, it's on the bike ped master plan. We had a petition to support the protected bike lanes. So this detail here, try to see if I can zoom in. How do I do that here? I think the little share screen thing's over my controls here. Sorry, bear with me. So this is kind of the cross section of the roadway here. So it's pretty consistently 36 feet wide. It does vary a little. So the proposal would be to do a double yellow center line with a 10-foot travel lane on either side. And then the buffer is approximately 3 feet, and then have a 5-foot bike lane along the curb. So whatever that variance of distance would be in that 3-foot buffer. So you'd have 2 10-foot travel lanes, 2 5-foot bike lanes with a buffer between the bike and the travel lane.
So from the outside, it's 5, 3, 10 plus
Yeah.
the double yellow line. And when it does get pinched, you pinch it where?
The hatched area.
You pinch the hatch area.
So if you look down here, it has the 3 feet plus or minus.
Yeah.
So that's the area that would vary.
Okay, thank you, sir. Questions from the commission on item 5A?
I've got a question, if I may. Hello.
Welcome.
Two questions. The first one is going to be about, I guess, just process. These bike lanes are already painted. So I'm just curious what would happen if we voted this down tonight. And the second part is about if these are true bike lanes, protected bike lanes, does that now mean Mill Plain Road no longer has on-street parking?
So yes, that is correct. So if it's not approved, it remains a shoulder area like it functions today. If it is approved, it would include no parking signage, and then this bike symbol over here is an example of what would get painted in that bike lane along with signage, bike lane signage. We did do parking counts on Mill Plain between myself and Bill over a number of weeks. Bill goes that way to and from work. I believe the most vehicles we saw between the two of us was 5. It's usually a lot of delivery trucks and contractors. I think the most standard vehicles one of us counted there at any time was 2 or 3, and that's from Unclewa all the way up to Brookside.
What about where the businesses are? I think there's a couple home dentistries, if I'm not mistaken, that I pass regularly and I see cars on the streets. I'm just, again, kind of curious about those areas.
The bike lane is contiguous, the proposal is a contiguous bike lane the whole way.
So have we reached out to those businesses? I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm just curious. This is a big change.
Do you know where they are?
There's one just before Riverfield on the right-hand side if you're heading towards Burr. And then there's another one past Riverfield, past Duck Farm up on the left. So there's 2 of them, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, I have not, unfortunately, Bill and Mega aren't here. I don't know if they had done that or not previously.
Okay.
Like I said, we do have a neighborhood meeting minutes and petition to support these, though.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a little tough not having the engineering folks here, but so I don't know that answer. Whether these 2 homes,
I don't know if they specifically spoke to those 2 people. I can't
Do not
answer
know.
that either.
I just don't know that particular answer. Any insight over here?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we were good with the homeowners that reside on that stretch. Before I think voting on it, I think they should have some buy-in on whether they could park in front of their own homes or not.
Okay.
And I understand that, making it a designated bike lane would restrict parking in that area. So, just trying to be thoughtful of the homeowners there and make sure we have buy-in from them as well.
Like I said, we do have a petition that was done there, but I didn't, count every single home on it.
Right. I could hear you guys in Prue's office. Okay.
I think Jeff has his hand up.
Jeff, please.
Yeah, Frank, I'm very supportive of this, and I'm glad there's a petition. I think the question about talking to the homeowners is more a matter of inform than ask. And has there been any, formal change management process around this? Where it sounds like you've talked to the neighbors. Could you just briefly describe what your communication is? Because I know some of the people. Sarah Mason. I don't know if Sarah's on the line here, but Sarah, who's the head of the Bike and Ped Committee, lives right there. So I imagine you're starting from an advantage just because of her involvement.
That's a good question. Sarah, would you care to respond to Jeff's questions? I do not have an answer specifically for him. You might.
Hold on, guys. Sorry.
Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, guys. Sorry, I'm home. So my kids are here in case you hear them in the background. So I worked, I don't know, back in 2023, we did a walk audit where the town had kind of brought the idea of a bike lane. My understanding was that when the bike ped committee got started, the original complete streets policy and bike ped master plan kind of designated these bike routes that then I think over time, the intention was to kind of turn them into protected bike lanes. I think Mill Plain just, is a good candidate for that, given the width of the road, the fact that it's already designated as a bike lane, the fact that a lot of people don't utilize the on-street parking that's there, as evidenced by, what Frank mentioned about the engineering survey. I think that's true. I did not talk to those specific businesses that Anthony brought up. So I don't have an answer to that question, but I think there is appetite for a protected bike lane on Mill Plain. In addition to the petition that's in the backup, there was an original petition I did in 2023 that resulted in the crosswalk being installed across Palmetto. And so I did have conversations with neighbors about the bike lane at that point, but it just wasn't something that we pursued at that time. And then I think specifically was, engineering had kind of said, put the petition together specifically for the protected bike lane, which is what I did. Sorry, I just lost my train of, there's one other point I was going to make. I do think, Mill Plain's a pretty busy thoroughfare, and there's a lot of people that utilize Mill Plain for biking that don't live in the neighborhood too. So just kind of keeping that in the back of the mind, my neighbors and the people in my neighborhood have important voices, but also considering, who utilizes the route and how we can make it safer for all users. I don't know if that answers Jeff's question or if you'd like something else.
Thank you, Sarah. We do have the petition. Sarah, we modified your petition before we put it into the agenda to take out some of the personal information. We just left the date, the name, and the address. There was other stuff there. I think there was email address and maybe something else. But there's roughly, 75 or 80 names on this petition that do speak in favor of this. Are there any other comments from board members on this item? Anthony, back to you. Do you have anything else?
Emmeline has her hand up.
Emmeline, sorry.
I mean, I would say that, following, I think, the Complete Streets policy where we want to implement some of these things, I think that it's, given Frank and Bill's survey of, demand for on-street parking in this particular, on this particular stretch of Mill Plain, I feel like it's worth instituting this. Obviously, as the LTA, we have the ability to make revisions to this if we need to in the future. But I think as a best practice for, moving forward with Complete Streets, it makes sense to implement this at this time.
Thank you, ma'am. Anything else from the commission on this item? Okay, anything from the public on this item? Yes, ma'am. If you would please come up to the podium and name and address, please.
Amy Barrett, 306 Villa Avenue, Fairfield, Connecticut. Full disclosure, I am also on the Bike Ped Committee. However, I am speaking tonight as a resident and citizen of Fairfield, and I don't want anyone to construe my opinions as that of the Bike Ped, no matter how closely they may be aligned. But I am here to speak in favor of the bike lanes. As many of you know, we do not have dedicated bike lanes on Villa Avenue, but with the recent traffic calming improvements, there is a shared bike lane. And then further closer to my house, there is an extra wide shoulder, bringing the width of the road down, I believe, to 9 or 10 feet. 9 feet is the minimum, I believe, required for car traffic. So this actually gives you an extra foot if it's 10 feet. But what we have noticed in the 2.5 or 3 years that these measures have been in place, there has been an increase in pedestrian traffic because people feel safer on the sidewalks. There's been an increase in cyclists. I even see moms jogging with their strollers in the widened shoulder because they feel safer. The traffic has slowed down. They feel like they have some room. And as you know, Villa Avenue does not have sidewalks all the way up and down. So this protected bike lane or the shared bike lane, as well as the widened shoulder, has really enhanced the neighborhood's ability to not use a car and go out and enjoy the neighborhood. The other thing I would like to point out is there is a project currently underway. It is called Harbor to Hills. I don't know if any of you are familiar with this project, but it is designed to basically connect Easton from around Beer Street to South Pine Creek, connecting all of the various open spaces. And Mill Plain, that section of Mill Plain, is an integral part of that route. Feedback from the informational session that I attended, there was overwhelming support for that, but there was also an overwhelming request for it to also have a parallel bike route. And Brookside to Umpqua accomplishes that. In addition, one of the reasons why I'm also in favor of it is it connects the Riverfield area to the schools, right? This protected bike lane will make it much easier for kids to bike to the 2 middle schools and the high school. And, I understand the loss of on-street parking because I'm a street parker myself, but that is quite a long stretch of road with what seems to be non-material amount of, or insubstantial or inconsequential amount of demand for street parking. So that is all I have to say, just that I am in favor of it, and I hope the commission votes for these bike lanes.
Thank you, Ben. Anything else from members in the room on this item? Yeah. Please, come up and identify yourself and your address, please.
Joseph Nania, Vesper Street, 41. Bike lane seems nice. Seems like a nice project. Low traffic over there. My only thing is, I really do think we should reach out to the houses and the businesses affected and have them have a say. I think that's only fair. I think we have the planning all done, but I think we should just give it a little more time and just, get everybody, filled in. Because, it doesn't seem right to do things without the people knowing necessarily what's going on that affects them. And that's all I'm just saying. It's a nice plan, but I think we should just, wait to get the people, affected involved.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Anything else from members of the public who are online on this item? If you do, please raise your hand. Do I see one? Nina, would you
Hi
like
there.
to speak? Hi, Nina. Welcome. Could you just give us your name and address, please?
Sure, my name is Nina Fatahi. I live at 232 Palmetto Drive, which is right off of Mill Hill Road. And I just found out about this. I was unaware of any sort of change to the parking requirement on Mill Plain Road, which is a road that I use frequently, obviously, and a road that I will be using even more when my child starts at Riverfield School in the fall. I don't know if it's been considered that Riverfield School doesn't really have any parking, especially enough to accommodate all the students' parents. So whenever there's an event at Riverfield, there's a long, long line of cars parked on Mill Plain Road because there's quite frankly nowhere else to park. So I wanted to ask what the consideration was for that, and if you found alternatives for those people who must park at the school but can't because there's no parking.
Thank you, Nina. Anybody else from the public care to speak on this item?
Two more up there, Veronica.
Oh, Veronica, I see your hand. Thank you. I think you're on mute, Veronica. Veronica, we cannot hear you. You might be on mute on your side. All right, so while you tinker with that, I will go to Emily. Emily?
Just gonna check something.
Oh, hold on one sec.
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Yes.
Hi, this is Emily Howe. I live at 55 Elm Street.
Well,
Thank you. I want to start by saying I'm not here to argue about safety. I think most people in this room and who are online want the same things. Streets where you can walk and bike without taking your life in your hands. Some of what's in the petition that supports this is common sense, flashing beacons, better crosswalks, no argument there. But the petition also lists 6 different measures and tells people to select all that you support. So signature doesn't mean someone backed all 6. The person who wanted one flashing beacon counts exactly the same as the person who wanted a bike lane down the whole road. I think there's a bike lane now. And what we're asking for apparently is protected bike lanes. I don't know that there's appetite for that. I don't have the appetite for that personally. That creates a physical barrier and removes parking from the street, which, as was said at the beginning of this meeting, is utilized by some people, not all of whom have been talked to. I don't think that there is great public awareness that parking was taken away on Mill Plain Road. So I would not be in favor of this, and I think that should be taken under consideration. Thanks for your time.
thank you, ma'am. Veronica, can you hear us so we can hear you?
Yes, I can.
Okay, you're up.
Hi, Veronica Monahan. I live at 635 Galloping Hill Road. I'm also a member of the TPZ with Jeff Randolph. So I'm speaking as a resident. I'm also speaking as a realtor who's had, 22 years of experience in town. This has not been communicated. Well, first, I'd like to echo what Anthony Calabrese said. The street's already been painted. So the assumption is this is, I guess, already going to pass because the street's been painted, the bike lanes have already been painted in. So what happens if this is voted down? Or is this a fait accompli? This has already been decided and this is happening one way or another, regardless of what the public thinks. Number 2, I think that people on the street who bought on the street, there was the assumption that there was a parking spot in the front of their house. It's a couple people have recently purchased homes on Mill Plain Road and believe that there was overflow parking allowed on the street. This was never communicated to homeowners. Looking at the way the petition was written, it never stated protected bike lanes in lieu of parking on the street. So parking on the street was never indicated as a condition of someone signing that letter. Had it been mentioned, do you believe it should be in lieu of parking on the street? There may have been a different reply. So I do agree that Mill Plain Road, very, very busy road. I do agree with the woman who spoke earlier, who said that when Riverfield School, which we used to live in walking distance of, has overflow parking, people do park in the streets, and I understand and there's businesses on the road. So to try to pass this was never publicly stated that parking on Mill Plain Road was going to be removed, and that a bike lane was going to be in its place. It was never communicated to the public. So you don't have people on this call today because people didn't know this is going to be discussed. So I'm in a realtor group, about 32 realtors, sent out a note this morning, and people said, are you out? Are you kidding me? When was this discussed? When was it communicated to the public? So for you to act on this without notifying people in town who've purchased homes, who own homes, what they believe, is fair or right, some may agree and say, great, others may not. But to say that a bike rider has more rights than a homeowner who needs that spot in front of their house for business, for, when they're having events, parties, not all of those lots are massive. Not all of them have very deep driveways. Not all of them have very wide driveways. So if they have family members coming to visit, if they want to have a Christmas party or a holiday party or a birthday party, they can now no longer utilize those spots on the road. So to pass this without, in my opinion, having a bigger kind of communication on this topic and why again, it's not to say it's a bad idea. It's just to say, agree with Mr. Calabrese, it's not right. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Sarah Mason had her hand up, I saw. Did I not see that?
Hi, yes, I did. Obviously, like I support this as, a member of the neighborhood, and I support it, as the chair of the Bike Ped Committee, just making more connections throughout town to make our streets safer and more usable for all users. As a property owner who has property that is on Mill Plain, a very large stretch of it, I have never once parked my car on Mill Plain because it will and I think a lot of people, my friends and neighbors in the community, feel the same way, that it will get hit by a car. So imagine how then it feels when you are walking or biking your children to school, like I do to Riverfield, a lot of days during the year, sometimes in the snow when the sidewalks are not shoveled. So this to me is also just an opportunity to take a step forward and make this stretch of town more usable for people who are not driving. I also, I say this as a parent of 3 kids. My oldest is 9, my youngest is 4. We are walkers to Riverfield, Fairfield Ludlow Middle School, and Fairfield Ludlow High School. So to the extent that I can make our streets safer for my children as they go through their school experience is important to me. I do understand that other people may have different views, and disagreement is great. It's good. Feedback is good, but I do think that this is an important step for the town to take. It also aligns with the Bike Ped Master Plan was first created in 2013. There was public input for that. There's been public input along the way. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Kathleen.
Hi, yes, Kathleen Meyer, 167 Churchill Road, Fairfield. I have a question regarding Mill Plain Road from Umpqua Road to the Post Road. Is that what you're including also? Because easily overflow outside Sturgis Field, are those cars that are parked there every day? Is that from Ludlow or is that from the train station? And number 2, I really, really feel this is unnecessary of the traffic authority to tell a homeowner who has spent well over $1 million to live in our community that they are not allowed to park outside their home when the babysitter has to come take care of their kids or when they want to host a confirmation party for their family. Once again, Fairfield is overreaching because we're getting pretty good at this, I will say. The residents are very unhappy with Fairfield as it is right now. And I really don't think this is a good idea for you guys to pass this. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Anybody else from the public wish to speak to this matter?
I just want to address one thing. I believe,
Go ahead, please.
I believe you mentioned Umpqua, or Mill Plain south of Umpqua by Sturgis Field, all the way down to the highway. That section is not included in the proposal. It would be from Umpqua north up to Brookside.
Can I ask you why?
Yes, because it's on the bicycle pedestrian master plan. We've done numerous parking counts, and we're implementing the plan. It's part of our complete streets policy. It is safer to have multiple modes of travel that can travel safely.
Okay. Thank you, Frank. Did I see another hand up? I see a guest. If you could please identify yourself, and then I'm going to come back to the room.
Sure. It's Pam Iacono, 68 Fife Road in Fairfield. Sorry, I couldn't sign in with my name. Sometimes.
That's okay. Welcome, Pam.
Sometimes I get it right. Sometimes I don't.
Welcome. It's good to hear from you.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you all for considering this. I've been a long supporter of safety measures along Mill Plain Road, as many of you know. But I do have a very, very serious concern about communication. People in this town are very, very angry right now. They are very upset. They are not feeling included in process. This petition doesn't say anything about removing parking on Mill Plain Road. And I really think I'm actually begging you guys to please not vote on this evening until you make it very clear to people along Mill Plain Road that they will not be allowed to park on the road there anymore. The shoulder is a great idea. Biking is a great idea. I want people to be safe. I want them to have that opportunity. Furthermore, something to consider. You're going to move people who are parking on Mill Plain off onto side streets. I live on one of those side streets. I dealt with that last weekend when someone had a party at their home and then parked their cars all down my street, including within 25 feet of the top of the road, which is a parking violation, and made it incredibly dangerous for anybody turning onto my street or anybody who was leaving my street to get out. It was frightening. So that's something to consider too, that you're just going to be pushing things onto side streets and making them dangerous for people like me who live on a cul-de-sac. So really, I hope that before you take a vote, you take some time and you go back out and you give clear communication to the people that live along Mill Plain Road that if you change this from a shoulder designation for bikes to an actual designation for bikes, you're going to lose parking. And my kids used to go to Riverfield. The parking issue there is real, and people do end up parking on Mill Plain. That's going to be a mess too. Thank you very much for your time and consideration, you guys. I know you really care about Fairfield, and I appreciate that.
Thanks, Pam. All right, I'm going to leave the online. We're finished with online comments on this particular topic. You go back to the room. I saw a hand. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. Richard Dix, 306 Villa Avenue. I'm here in support of the bike lane. I've been requested by Bike Ped to help out with trying to get the town open spaces connected together. We're going to try to do something for everyone to get them moving out of the house and down the street and out into our parks and exercise. We need bike lanes. I think the setbacks of the houses that I've worked in and along Mill Plain are 30 to 40 feet, some of them with a double wide driveway. I don't think it's a selling point for real estate agents to say, go ahead and park out in the street where there's a chance your car is going to get hit or be out in the traffic and push people out into the road who would like to use it as a bike lane. We deal with that over on Bill Avenue, seems to work out, but as far as being an issue of some people being out in the street, it's not a commercial road as I understand. There are a few private businesses along there. I don't think that's a big consideration. So other than that, let's get it all connected and everybody out on their bikes and on foot.
Thank you, sir. Anything else from the room before we go back to the commission? Okay. All right, so we are back to the board. We're back to the commission. Commission members online, any additional comments on this item? I don't see or hear any. Back to the table here. I have a couple. I am a big supporter of what we're doing with the bike lanes. I'm a huge supporter of what we're doing, trying to mix up pedestrians, bikes, cars, sharing the road. And I'm a big supporter of the work that you guys have been doing for years on the Bike Ped Committee and how that has rolled through a couple administrations now and how it's been modified and upgraded and updated. And our votes up to date have been in support of all of the things that we've put forward as far as changing, whether it's Villa Avenue or this or that. I do have a little pause on this particular one from a timing issue. I'm just a little concerned that The petition's a couple years old. The data on it is 2 years old, and I'm not crystal clear if the petition was crystal clear in what it was asking and displaying to the folks that were looking at it and reading it and reacting to it. So that does give me pause. You know, I've been doing government work for 35 years now, and I've seen every issue that you can possibly imagine. And, you know, many of them are black and white and crystal clear, and some of them give me pause in my gut until I either know a little more or I can sense a little more. And I'm kind of feeling that on this one, is that it might, just speaking for myself, it might need a little percolation. So that's my gut, is that we might need a little more time on this one, or a clarified petition. Sarah, could I get a little, any more thoughts from you? Because I know where we stand administratively on what we like and what we want to do and how we want to do it. We are in sync on all of those things. I don't know, this one's giving me a little pause personally on process.
Sure. I mean, it's a little frustrating to hear that, just because I feel like it's been a long time in the running, like in the hopper. I know, you know, some people move away and some people move in, and then they might have different views. But I do think, you know, a lot of, I don't know. I guess I'm a little frustrated just because I feel like I put a lot of time and energy into this, you know, before I was even on the bike ped committee, and now even more so as the chair, to try and move this stuff forward. I also just feel, you know, I think there are 2 dentists on Mill Plain. I mean, I know one of them is close to retiring. I don't know. I don't know about the other one. I think if we're going to be able to do a protected bike lane in town, Mill Plain is the candidate. And I feel like, you know, we talk a lot about planning and the, you know, the SS4A grant that we have open right now is pulling together a safety action plan for the town. And one of the areas that continues to pop is Mill Plain. Even when I first started this a few years ago, it was like, yeah, you know, everybody kind of agreed Mill Plain was a problem, but we never were really able to make changes. Right. So I hear you, Kevin. I understand that. But I also kind of wonder, like, what is enough? And I've knocked a lot of doors and talked to a lot of folks. And I feel like there's need to help. There's need for infrastructure on Mill Plain, I guess, is where I'll leave it.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah. No, that's why I went back to you, because I know you have such a close tie to the project and the effort and the process. So thank you for that. Anything else from the commission?
Emmeline has her hand up.
Oh, Emmeline, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Frank, can I ask a practical question?
Sure.
So if we were, I mean, obviously we've got a lot of demonstration projects that are happening right now. If we were to implement this on a trial basis to see how the bike lanes perform, if we had to modify sections in order to accommodate areas where, you know, for example, like one of those businesses really doesn't have, and I will fully disclose that I'm not familiar with either of those dental offices, but if, and I'm just putting a scenario out there, if one of the dental offices didn't have enough parking off street for its business and needed additional space, could we eliminate some of the, you know, provide different signage in that one area in lieu of just not approving this whole entire thing, which has been underway? It's in the bike ped master plan. We do have a commitment as a town for more complete streets. You know, I feel like we're in search of a problem instead of a solution right now. And those problems haven't been identified to us, but in terms of the on-street parking needs, but it has been demonstrated a problem that it's unsafe for other users. So, you know, I do feel like, you know, is there a way practically from a public works perspective that if we have to make modifications in the future, we can do that?
So I think a couple things. Doing it on a trial basis would be, I mean, how we're implementing the pavement markings now and just not signing it as a bike lane and just allowing people to park there. That I don't know how else you would do it as a trial. And then as far as could we modify it along the corridor at certain spots? Yes. I mean, there's definitely ways to end a bike lane and add some parking. Yeah, we would just have to look at that closer as far as where that would be.
I mean, then I will express that I'm supportive of giving this a try, right? Seeing how it performs, and making modifications if we need to. But if we don't try it, we don't know.
Thanks, Emmeline. Jeff?
Yeah, a couple of things. So, Frank, you said this is it's a dedicated bike line, but there's no physical barriers. It's just paint. Is that correct?
It's just paint, yeah. So right now the layout you see on the screen is really just shoulder edge lines without the. If you take the bike symbol out of it, it's just a painted shoulder that you could park in, you could bike in, you could do whatever in. Making it a formal bike lane would be adding the bike symbols, adding the signage that says it's a bike lane, and no parking signage.
Yeah, so I think the term protected bike lane was used, but this actually is not a protected bike lane. It's just it's just paint.
It's a painted buffer.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. So there's really not a lot of change, but I know that these things always come as a surprise to the people who hear about it right before the meeting, but my understanding is this plan was initiated in 2013. I know about this specifically for a couple reasons. One, I'm a lifelong cyclist. I've been riding on that road for decades. And I think the bike and ped plan it is in the POCD, which is our official document. It's been signed for more than 10 years as a bike lane, and we've committed to Vision Zero. The core issue here is safety. This is a dangerous road to cycle on, and a lot of people do ride their bikes, and there's a lot of walkers in this area. And for anyone who's not walked or ridden their bike, I would ask you to do that. Go walk in this lane as cars are going by at high speeds, and I think the speed cameras will certainly slow this down, and we've got some other safety traffic issues. But this is a really dangerous road where there's a lot of walkers. And I know that personally. It's from riding my bike there. And it's also been evaluated by engineering. This is not something that's been just slapped in place. Frank's relatively new to this role, but he's been doing this kind of work, and I've seen a lot of his work at Stanford. This has really been thoughtfully done, and I think we need to rely on the professionals here, because safer walking and biking routes will also reduce traffic. I know I work at home now, and the busiest times in town are school pickup times. And if we get more people walking and riding their bikes, I think this will address traffic issues. And I think the issue about limited school hour parking is valid. If there's a graduation ceremony, a big event, we should be able to have, I hope we can create some type of flexibility for really off-hour uses. I see that at some of the churches, synagogues, where they permit parking in areas that aren't normally allow permanent parking. So I think that's an important consideration. And I hear the concerns about parking, but there's more people walking their kids or could be walking their kids to school than the traffic counts have been done by the professionals, and they say that hasn't been an issue for parking. Of course, people are going to be parking there. Of course, there's going to be exceptions, the party, the school events, but I think we can adjust for those. Those are the edge conditions. I think the real finding from this is not so much the engineering, but it's the change management. While this was initiated in 2013, sounds like, and this is really one of the first ones we're doing, it sounds like we really need to lean into our change management approach. And while we have formally communicated this and checked all the legal boxes, the POCD, the Bike and Ped Committee, the local neighborhood, it sounds like the change management process is something for the rollout, we need to improve. And I think Emmeline's suggestion that perhaps we should do this as a temporary measure, but not abandon the long-term safety goal and look at communication and see how we can learn from what we implement. I think that would be perhaps a good compromise to say this is not a permanent thing. We want to learn from it and come back and evaluate it. But what I'm hearing is change management is something we really need to perhaps more formally address. That's all I had.
Thanks, Jeff. So what would a not temporary or not permanent compromise look like?
So
I'm trying to envision what that could be.
You're not going to enforce no parking if it's temporary or trial. So I would say implement the pavement markings alone as they are is the trial, and then from there, we can look at things like how many cars are still parking there, how much utilization it's getting from bikes, and do more outreach to the people along the corridor.
I gotta say, from a police department standpoint, that's probably the better approach, because ultimately we'll be tasked with enforcement for no parking. And I would like to see buy-in from the residents who live along that stretch to say that, yes, I agree to not be able to park in front of my own home. And if that's the case and we posted no parking, we're going to enforce that no parking. But we need, I think it's critical to have buy-in from, I know a petition was signed. I'm not clear on the clarity of that petition and whether it stipulated there was no parking in front of residences. I think that's a very important point that we need to get buy-in from the residents.
Anything else from commission members? I happen to agree with most of what everyone is saying, frankly. I don't disagree with any one person's complete opinion here. But Captain Irizarry makes a really good point about, the parking. And parking's a big issue for everyone that lives in this town, whether it's downtown or elsewhere or on Mill Plain Road. I'm just troubled by that. And I don't know the clarity of that when the petition was signed. And the petition's got a couple years on it too. That may not be as big a deal as the parking, but certainly the parking and the understanding of that is what's giving me pause, frankly. So I'm going to make a motion. I'm going to move.
Can I ask one more question? I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
So is it, I guess, and this is a question for Captain Azari as well. If we know from the schools that they're doing special events, can't you post it specially during those special event times?
Yeah, we would run, Emmeline, we would run that through DPW, that request. So it would come from Board of Ed and we would direct them to DPW as temporary allowance for parking. And then we would notify our police officers not to enforce.
Because, I think we don't know till we test drive it, right? I would recommend that maybe we approve this with a requirement to come back to the LTA to report on how it's functioning, like whether we do 6 months out, for example, but then we provide some sort of notification to the schools to let them know if they know they're hosting big events, that, we can alert the DPW and the police department to mark it differently for those events. I don't know. I will thoroughly admit that I don't know how it works in Fairfield when you do events within town, like if you're the PTA or something like that. I can just speak for my experience in my own local PTA, but there's a pretty comprehensive building use form that requires sign off from your school administration, the police department, sometimes the fire department, where they're looking at overall occupancy issues. I don't know if the same thing occurs in Fairfield, but that would help kind of address those what if scenarios. Of course, we don't want to limit the school's ability to do, community building programming that is really wonderful within those schools, but I think there might be another way in which to handle that if we provide the schools with the notification to understand that this alternative might be available through the police department to allow for those special exception opportunities that they need when they're doing those big events.
Thank you, Emmeline. Okay, so we've already exhausted public comment, whether you've come in the room or come on online since that time. So if anyone is looking to speak, we've already had our public comment on this, so my apologies to you. I'm going to make a motion that we take no action on this tonight in lieu of an updated petition for that stretch of road that addresses, the program, specifically the implications of parking by putting this program in place. Is there a second for that?
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion that I made, which is basically to take no action on this in lieu of us acquiring an updated petition that for me is just a little clearer and addresses parking. That's very simply it. I don't think it's a 2-hour discussion. It's either a kind of a yes or a no on whether board members think that that's a good or not a good idea. But that's what is making me uncomfortable. So conversation on the amendment that is made to take no action in lieu of an updated petition.
I guess my only question would be, would no action mean, are we not doing anything on a trial basis or evaluating it, or?
That's what I'm saying, yeah, it's just a pause.
Okay.
So we stripe it? Throw the shoulder lines up at least? Because we could always designate it at a bike
lane later.
Later.
If it works.
That could work. Yeah, I'm not opposed to what we're trying to do here. I got pause on the petition process.
Yeah, I would be supportive of, striping it with the shoulders and not signing it, no parking, no bike lane. Let's keep it parking.
Well, let me add that to my amendment why don't we? Then why don't I withdraw my amendment? Because my amendment would be to take no action.
Yeah.
And so I think what I'm hearing you say, I don't want to speak for you, is you might be willing to keep it on the table as a project to move forward, doing the striping, doing the painting, but not putting in the no parking signs.
Not formally designating it a bike lane and eliminating the parking.
Yeah.
So you got an updated petition.
Until we determine at a time down the road that makes sense or that's what the people want. You could convince me to do that.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll second that motion that Mr. Patisse just made, which is to move ahead as is, with the exception of designating anything no parking up and down the road, putting the painting markings in and all that good stuff.
Yeah, putting the bike symbol, right, correct. Leaving that out for now.
Okay. So there is a motion on the floor. Emmeline, I think I saw you first.
I mean, I think that we've, if our prior analysis of this roadway, and I believe that this was all presented by the engineering department, that Mill Plain Road tends to have a lot of speeding. And we have in other scenarios, skinny down the roadway width to slow people down. It's been proven in other locations. This is best practice that we've utilized in other areas. So I'm certainly supportive of implementing road painting measures that are going to slow down traffic and increase safety on this roadway.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Randolph?
Yeah, I think I know it sounds like we need some more information, and I think the change management process needs to be perhaps more focused on. But Frank, can you? I just come back to the engineering viewpoint. Are you confident in the traffic counts? The per parking traffic counts you had. Would it be worthwhile to look at those again, or look at them more thoroughly, or do you think you've completed that task? Because I think that's...
No, I would continue to do it. I think if we're going to implement this with the new line striping without taking away the parking, I think we should still continue to look at the parking counts and usage of the roadway.
Yeah, because I mean, I think petitions,
I would want to keep doing that going forward.
yeah, because petitions are helpful to get feedback. I think as a community, we've committed to putting a bike lane here, for more than 10 years. And this is a logical next step. The question is how we're going to do it and what exceptions we're going to make. So I agree that there should be, and I'm keep repeating myself on the change management. We really need to learn from this experience and communicate better. But I think also perhaps study the parking issues that are concern people the most, and evaluate those and see if there is an issue, one, and then two, if there's an issue, how we solve it with engineering practices, rather than going back with an open petition.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate your comments. All right, so we will go to the public on the amendment and the amendment only, and the amendment is to move forward with the painting and the striping as presented in those areas, but to not address specifically no parking in same areas. All right, because I think we know how everyone feels about the core issue, so please, if you could limit your comments to the amendment to move ahead under those different conditions. Tracy. Tracy, can you hear us?
Hi, sorry, my hand was up from earlier. My comments would have been on the first part, so you can move to the next person.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I saw you come in late. I was just doing the same with everyone. Nina.
Hi, I wanted to know, when we talk about a trial period in assessing parking needs, what timeline are we looking at?
Well, Nina, there isn't an answer to that question. I think it's just, moving forward with the project as it is, minus any parking considerations, and they need to be looked at down the road. We don't have that answer as we sit here, whether it's a week, a month, or 5 years, but to not take action on it now, I believe, would show that we're thinking about it and we care about it, but we also care about what we're trying to do here to make the roads safer for bikes, for pedestrians, for cars, and kind of combine all of those opinions and thoughts.
But I do have one follow-up question. How many accidents or pedestrian accidents or biking accidents have we actually recorded on this street, in this road? Because I don't find that, and you're talking to somebody who is, a child who will be walking to and from school. So safety is my utmost concern, but it just makes me wonder, like, are we trying to make a big deal out of something that hasn't even been an issue?
Well, Nina, I don't have that data in front of me. Some of it's anecdotal, and we don't want to have a back and forth on a particular component of an argument here. Safety is everyone's concern, and the Bike Ped Committee has been working extremely hard for over a decade now to put a plan in place that brings the town together, and this is a slice of it. And as we open up these slices and look at them from street to neighborhood to neighborhood, we have to understand their local impact. And I think this compromise is a step in that direction.
I agree. I wasn't at all. I'm very pleased that more consideration and time and outreach is happening. I was simply curious, because I was just curious, like, why are we doing this when I don't feel that, despite being a walker, I don't feel that this is a particularly dangerous stretch, but I look forward to getting more information about it.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate your comments. And I see one more hand up. Is that Pam?
Yes, it is. Thank you so much, Chairman Kiley. I just wanted to say thank you very much for understanding the concerns about communication. I think this is a perfect compromise. I really appreciate it. People, as I said, are feeling incredibly frustrated and incredibly disheartened that they aren't being heard. And this is an excellent way to try and problem solve two things, safety and communication. So thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else online to speak to this? All right, back to the commission for any final comments. Oh, did I go to the room on this? I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Amy.
Do I need to state everything all over again?
Yeah, just quickly.
Sure. Amy Barrett, 306 Villa Avenue.
Thank you. Welcome back.
Thanks. First, I want to thank you for approaching this so thoughtfully. And I am happy that we're at least going forward with the shoulders. But my two comments are regarding the two businesses there. I don't know what the zoning is, but I do know from zoning in my neighborhood, there's a building next to me. And the way it is zoned, it is, and I'm sure that, I'm going to guess that this is pretty similar. You can only have 3 people in that building with a maximum of 2 cars, and there is no on-street parking allowed for that particular business. That's just the way it's zoned. Any people that go to that business that cannot fit in his driveway, they just can't do it. But my main comment is that, the municipality owns the road, so all of the citizens of Fairfield own the road. Parking in front of your house on the street is not a guarantee just because you bought the property, right? It's like buying a property on the beach. You have up to the high tide line, right? If somebody wants to sit in front of your house at the low tide line, that's their right. So I think that needs to be taken into consideration as well. Not that the opinion of the people that will be affected is not important, but they do not own that piece of property. The municipality does, and we need to look what is best for the town in general. And, people need to read the newsletters. This has been in the POCD, it's on Bike Ped, it's been in my minutes, it's been, in various town newsletters under multiple administrations. So, I get people feeling frustrated, but people also need to take responsibility and read the information that's being presented to them, because the information is out there. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Much appreciated. All right, so we're back to the commission for any final comments. We do have an amendment in front of us, which the gist of it is to move forward with the paintings, the markings from Umpqua to Brookside, right?
Yes.
Both sides, change the road a little bit there, but to not address parking with no parking or parking enforcement. Is everyone clear on what a yes vote would be to amend this item to include those items only? With that said, all those in favor? Aye. Online, I see 1, 2. Anthony?
I'm an aye on that. Thank you.
Aye. Opposed, abstentions? All right, so that item carries as amended. 5A, bike lanes on Mill Plain Road. So we'll move to 5B, but before I do, I just want to make another reminder. If anyone came in late and they're here for item 5D, the school slow zone ahead paintings, we're not taking that up. That is off the agenda for tonight. So I want to give you a heads up so that you don't wait around for that particular item. All right, we'll move on to item 5B. To hear, consider, and act upon the following request for a crosswalk at Knapp's Highway. I think I'll go to Mr. Patisse on this again. Again, we're short a couple of engineering people, but we do have their handiwork. Thank you, sir.
Yes, so this item came up because we were taking a closer look at some of the traffic, the biking or walking around McKinley School. And during that time, we observed a large number of people crossing at Vesper as opposed to walking all the way down to, is it Thompson, the school entrance?
Thompson.
Where there is a marked crosswalk down there, but in order for people to cross Knapp's Highway to go down there, you're now mixing with all the cars queued up for the pickup and drop off. So we observed the majority of people are crossing at Vesper, which then gets you to the sidewalk on the side of the school, and you could follow that sidewalk all the way around to the entrance without having to cross the vehicles that are queued up. So with that being said, we wanted to implement a crosswalk here. So I went out with our DPW crew as well as someone from engineering, and we looked at fitting the ADA ramp in on the other side of the road there, which is in like the bluish color you see. We probably actually have to cut in a little bit more on the grass there for the landing, but it does fit in. So, the proposal is to install this crosswalk and, sign it and paint it.
Thank you, sir. Commission member comments on this item? Jeff?
Oh, my hand was up from earlier, but I think
Oh,
this
sorry.
That's okay. I think this is thoughtful, and I'm just looking at the roadway. I drive this area frequently, and a crosswalk would be beneficial there.
Thank you, sir. Emmeline?
My question, Frank, is do we need any signage leading up to the crosswalk in either direction that we need to include as part of the motion?
Yes, we should include the crosswalk ad signage.
Okay, thank you.
Hector?
Yield
Captain?
marks prior to,
Sorry.
yield marks
You're right.
prior to the crosswalk.
We can add those as well, I believe.
It just so it gives a barrier so the
Yeah.
the vehicle traveling in that direction knows exactly where to
I
stop.
just want to double check the METCD, but
Yeah,
yes,
it should be on the other side of that
Yeah.
intersection of the T there.
yeah, over in this area, right?
Over where? It would be right about there.
Yeah, and then back this
And
way.
then back here, about the same. What is that, like 20 feet?
Can you speak up? 'Cause I didn't quite hear what you said.
Oh, Frank was just showing me on the picture where that sign would go. It's around, what, 30,
Probably a little, yeah, in that vicinity.
a little more than that, feet away from the crosswalk. Yeah. Any other comments by the commission on this? Comments from the public on this one? Yes, ma'am?
Quick question, do I have to go back up there?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, boy.
I keep
Get my
forget-
steps in.
I almost forgot.
Amy Barrett, 306 Villa Avenue. I just have a question on the signage. Will it just be a standard, like fluorescent yellow sign, or will it be those nice signs that are like flashing, like they have down on by the train station? And if that's not going to have a crossing guard, would it have the button that the kids can push so that it would flash when someone's there to cross?
So that is something we can look at adding later. There is a financial implication of that. They're rather expensive. I do think it is a good location for that. So I would be in favor of it. However, I think right now we're just trying to at least get the crosswalk implemented and out there and then revisit that.
Okay.
But it's a good point. There will have to be, I mean, the Board of Education will have to consider that as a crossing walk.
Yes.
Location to be covered and secured, you know, but not that we don't worry about the money, but the money is secondary to public safety for us. So thank you for their comments. Yes, sir.
Richard Dix, 306 Villa Avenue. When we petitioned to get stop and crosswalks at Lewis and Nichols from T-bone accidents, rollovers, vehicles leaving the roadway, going into telephone poles, et cetera, they've been placed many times. We got told that it's too busy to have a crosswalk there. So again, should stop signs be with it? Should stop signs be with this? Should it be a staggered, one side has to, one side from one's going to be a three-way intersection coming in from the right. The existing one with the stop signs has one coming in from the left. Would you stop one lane before and the other coming the other direction? Just too much free running up to the next stop sign is what I see, unless there isn't something. And are we going to stay by the MUDCO rules, or where does this lie in crosswalks with stop sign, crosswalk without? And just something to consider. We got back on trying to slow that down on Villa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else from the room? Yes, sir.
Steve O'Connell, 36 Pope Street, over a 30-year resident. I've lived in the area. My kids went to McKinley.
Welcome.
And I had Brenda Kupchak in my backyard 25 years ago dealing with the same thing. It's a behavioral problem. And cameras, even speed bumps, will go so far, or crosswalks. But if you don't educate the kids and the parents about how to behave around schools, it's not gonna change. But I'm here again. Here we go again, and this is going back 2 or 3 years, because they've been trying to put in sidewalks and other projects without reaching out to the residents. So the due process is what we're really concerned about. I mean, I got an email yesterday from a conscientious RTM member that there's a meeting tomorrow. And another resident here, we talk to each other, what's going on? So, and we represent a group of, right now it's 30, 35 people who actually had a petition in regards to the ultimate goal is putting in these sidewalks. And this is like, I don't know what to make of this. I mean, apparently you were out there and surveying, and And Bill didn't give me a call, the engineer, I know him well. And I don't know, I'm gonna go there tonight. I live right down the street. And I'm looking at this right now and I'm saying, now that blue thing there, is that for?
That's the location of the pedestrian ramp we have to build.
A ramp for, is that?
For the crosswalk, yes.
For like wheelchairs?
Yes.
Well, because we've been dealing with this for a couple of years. The whole sidewalk, the whole stretch is not ADA compliant. So you've got an ADA compliant on-ramp onto a stretch of sidewalk that's not ADA compliant, which I understand is supposed to be 5 feet wide. But I don't know. It just seems like it's this patching approach, and it makes everyone feel good, but I really don't know. I don't know right now, because here I am, and it's like I just found out last night. So I'm looking for a pause. Like Pam said, the process is leaving the people who are actually directly affected, residents, and actually pay for the streets and pay for the schools. And I was on committees for the schools. I did a lot of things when my kids were going there. And it just seems like it's like fast paced. We're putting this in here. We get a notice. Hey, we're going to put a crosswalk in. I don't even know why it's there. I mean, we're talking about some other solutions, and I know that the first selectman's office, they're aware of this because we came to a meeting. God, I hope we don't do this again next August. Last August. And it was very controversial because all these things were sort of matter of fact, we're going to do this. And everybody that was there was against what they were trying to do. And this is just another project, and I'm very concerned that we're not included. Because we have plenty of solutions. I mean, we want to create safe spaces and sidewalks so the kids can get to school. And I'll just say too that, I've got I printed up the data from the company that did the research. And, I sit at my table every day in the afternoon. I know how many kids and parents walk up Pope Street in front of my house. And it's not reflected in the numbers that are there. I know kids walk, there's a certain number that walk, but are you counting the people that drive and park on the top of the street, take their kids out of the car and walk them to school? And then they park there and wait for them to walk out, and then they drive off. So that looks nice, but you're missing all the cars parked on the road and on the side streets. So I think it's a serious concern, and I just would like to see a slowdown and include the people that are directly affected. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Gentlemen, please.
Joseph Nanny, 41 Vesper Street. I've been a resident in Fairfield for over 45 years. 4 kids up and down that street to McKinley and eventually to Ward. Never had any issues, but here's the issue. Obviously, there's a lot more traffic now than there used to be. But I was looking at the plan that they had, overall plan, and it is a behavioral problem. That corner of Vesper Street, if you're coming out when school is entering or leaving, all right, there's a line of sight that you can't see because all the cars are parked all along Knapp's Highway on both sides, okay? So, and also that portion of sidewalk on the right side there is extremely narrow, okay? They just put a brand new house there, and I'm surprised that they didn't allow a little bit more space for extending that sidewalk when they did that house. They got what they wanted, the builder, he built it, and that's the end of that. But anyway, if you were to put a sign there, you'll see the the telephone poles there, right? You're gonna have to put that sign pretty high because you're gonna be banging into that thing because it's so close to the road. That's one thing. Another thing is obviously we have the crosswalk by Pope Street, all right? And I know the crossing guards and everything, they're doing the best they can. But that whole traffic flow pattern really needs to be addressed in a different manner, all right? When they built the new McKinley School, I addressed it to Ken Flato and also to Tai-Soo Kim, the architect of the new school, that you really needed an in and out of the parking lot there, okay? So they said, no, 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 no. But now we're seeing a lot of people coming off of Lockwood, which is where Tungus Hill and the back part of the parking lot, okay? And they're trying to cut across, Tungus Hill Road and so on and so forth. And I think that whole traffic flow pattern, instead of looping back onto Naps Highway, should actually go out to Lockwood and then to Candlewood or whatever it is where the traffic light is. It makes it a lot more safer for, I guess, the buses and for the cars. Right now, a lot of people are parking in the, in the parking lot for TJ Maxx, cutting across the highway, all right? So I think they should really designate more parking, maybe along Lockwood, to make the entrance a little bit safer for the people that are coming up from, Candlewood, and also from behind McKinley at, where the old age home used to be, where the new housing is, okay? Because obviously we have a lot of kids coming from that area going to McKinley. And we do have a bike path that goes from McKinley all the way across through the wetlands there. And I think, as far as biking is concerned, I think they should really consider having that improved so that
Sir, I appreciate all of your comments, but they're on the periphery of what we're talking about here,
Okay.
which is this crosswalk.
Okay, all right, so I'll stick to the crosswalk,
Okay,
all
so I
right?
think we need to focus.
My
on that.
issue is if you put the crosswalk in during the hours, it's going to be hard to see people coming from behind the cars. Okay, that's the issue. When cars leave that stop sign at Pope Street, it's a drag race. I mean, they literally floor the car to cut across. So anybody coming up Vesper Street, you got to be really careful of cars coming down Naps Highway. So that's a major concern. Now, we also had asked the police to have more of a police presence. A lot of people are jaywalking all over the place, all right? When I grew up, they had a big campaign years ago, all right? Don't cross in the middle of the street, cross at the lights, so on and so forth. I don't see any of that. I don't even know if they teach it in school anymore. But I grew up in a city, and this was a big concern. We had a lot of traffic. So, again, if it's going to be done, it's got to be done right. It's got to be done in conjunction with the other projects, with the traffic, so that, all right, you grant that you put the lines up, but it's got to be functional at the end of the day. And the police know that, and, we don't want anybody to get hurt at that intersection, even though they are careful, but they shouldn't be jaywalking, and they should teach the kids not to cross right in the middle of the road.
Appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Did you have a comment?
Yeah, just quick. Joseph, Vesper Street, 41. During the early school hours, there's a lot of cars coming in and queuing over there and whatnot.
Yeah.
Having an extra crossing, I don't know if it's going to make that situation better or worse. Unless there's something to deal with the way the congestion is. Having a lot of cars there and an extra thing without any traffic control is just going to maybe invite more problems.
Appreciate that. All right. Thank you. All right, I'm going to go online. Crosswalk. I don't know who was first. Why don't we go to Tracy since you waited before?
Thank you so much. My name is Tracy Rodriguez. I live at 455 Lenox Road, which is on the corner of Lenox and Vesper, about 7 houses from where this is proposed. And I just wanted to come on to say thank you, and we appreciate this. I am also a new RTM member. I'm relatively new to the process, but representing District 6. So this was, it's actually crosses the line of the district, but crossing that road. And I'm also PTA exec board member. So I definitely am in communication with a lot of people who would be directly affected by this, and can tell you that the overwhelming majority would be in support. I feel comfortable speaking for D6 in that way. That road is very dangerous, and if you come up Vesper, if you live there like we do, Like was mentioned earlier, it is very narrow on the side that's closest to us. So while I appreciate the comments of not jaywalking and whatnot, it is very difficult to walk on that side of the road without crossing the street. So I just wanted to say overwhelming support for this and really appreciate the attention to this area of town, and mainly wanted to come on to request the light up. I think that that was brought up earlier, the light up type, because I do fear the area of Thompson and Knapp. I wanted to request it there as well if we're able while we're installing, because you do see people flying through that stop sign. Obviously not at pickup and drop off as much because you have the traffic just sort of controlled just by how many cars there are. But you do see cars flying from Thompson down next. So that is actually quite a dangerous area. I think it would be wonderful if we could have, in addition to the crosswalk, the light up thing, and the fact that like the type that you can request, I think would be amazing. And also I've seen, and I've sent this in before, by St. Paul's downtown, I know they did a lot of work there with the crosswalk for the safety of children. That included that kind of stanchion, I'm not sure the exact name of it, in the middle of the road. And if that type of option would be available as a traffic calming measure around these crosswalks, I think that that would be just absolutely phenomenal. I think it would really improve safety in the area.
All right, thank you, Tracy. Okay, go ahead.
The last quick thing, if that's okay, is just that I did send in an email about this. It was brought up to me from a couple of constituents in the area that there is an end school zone right now sign from Ward, and I think it is a bit misleading. It's when you're coming from the other way, coming from Ward. So you are within a distance of McKinley, and I understand there's different processes going on to try and get those signages up for McKinley, but right now it reads as though you're driving out of a school zone when you're actually still in one. So my suggestion would be to look into this and potentially just put like McKinley Elementary ahead, or I know there's different signages that we're not allowed to have yet as a designated school zone, but if we could have something to just help for safety so people don't think they're leaving a school zone.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. All right, let's try to move this along, guys. If everyone can limit their comment to a minute or two so we can get on to the rest of our agenda. I'll go to Lori next, please.
Hi, my name is Lori Conaway. I live at 503 Knapp's Highway, and that is my gray house in the picture there.
Oh.
And I have 2 kids that attend McKinley, and I 100% support this crosswalk. It is very necessary. It's correct that people speed up from the stop sign at Pope, and so by the time they get there, they are flying. So this crosswalk would really help slow people down and get everyone across the street. It's tons of kids crossing in the morning from Vesper to McKinley.
Thanks, Lori. Ethan?
Hi, Ethan Fry, 64, Longfellow, current McKinley parent, in favor of the crosswalk, any and all crosswalks in that area. As to jaywalking, cut down on jaywalking, presumably by giving people more crosswalks to cross using. And I was always taught that pedestrians always have the right of way. It doesn't always seem like that walking around town, but the more education, the better in that respect. Thank you so much.
Ethan, thank you for your comments. As we like to say around here, it's through the 3 E's, right? Education, enforcement, and engineering gets us there. Sarah Mason, are you still up there, or is that an old hand?
No, I'm still here. I just wanted to say quickly, I obviously fully support, I think it would be obvious, I fully support the crosswalk. I think, what I have found is that people cross the street where it's convenient for them. And as was evidenced by the walk audit that the town did, it showed that this is where it's convenient for folks to cross. And so if we can make it as safe as possible in order to help people get across the street in the safest way, I think that's kind of a no-brainer. So thanks.
Thanks, Sarah. Anybody else online? Going once, twice, 3 times? Okay. All right, so we're back to the commission on item 5. I'm sorry, B?
Sorry, 5B.
B,
Yes.
thank you. Any further comments, any edits we want to make? Do we need to incorporate any language here, or those signs should be standard fare for what you're doing?
Yeah, any MUTCD compliant for crosswalk signage and pavement markings.
So we could assume that's the case. Okay, so the item is before us. Frank and his team and the engineering team know what they need to do. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye for Anthony. Abstentions? I think I have 6-0 in favor. Thank you. Appreciate that. So we're going to 5C, which is the OSTA application for the speed reduction at Dorothy Street. That is 5C. And again, I think that's going to fall to you, Frank, because the engineering guys are not here unless Captain Irizarry wants to lead off on this one. Okay.
So I talked to Bill about this. So we received a complaint about Dorothy Street, which is really, it acts as the entrance really to Stratfield Elementary School. It is a two-way road because there are houses that have driveways off of it. And I know one of the requests you received was to petition OSTA to lower the speed limit to 20 miles an hour.
Yep.
So this proposal before us, I think Bill even filled out the application here.
You did, yeah.
Is to approve the submittal to OSTA to request that they lower the speed limit on the street to 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, this is a follow-on to a previous conversation that we've
Yes.
had. And the outcome at the previous meeting was to put this application in and to lower it to 20. And that's what we're doing with this particular item, is to formalize that request to OSTA. Comments, questions from commission members? Comments from the public on 5C, the Dorothy Street OSTA application to reduce the speed from 20 to 25. Tracy, your hand is still up. Is that from before? I believe.
I think it is because I didn't see her lower it.
She took it down. All right. All right. Well, hearing none, seeing none. Back to the commission. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, that carries 6-0. All right. So that quickly took us through item 5C. 5D is off the agenda, as I've mentioned a handful of times already in the meeting, which takes us down to item 4, which is old business. I don't know of any old business that we have hanging out there. Do any of the commission members have anything under old business that's hanging out there that we know we need to revisit? I don't believe it. We're not voting on anything, but I don't think there's anything out there based on looking at the minutes and based on my notes from the prior meeting. Okay? And then item number 5, new business. Kind of the same thing from my perspective. We don't have anything that I know of that needs to be addressed, but it's open to the commission members if anyone has anything that they want to talk about. Yes, I do. So item 4C that we did not take, or 4D that we did not take up.
5D, right?
Yeah, 5, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Item 5D that we did not take up is very important for the schools to have the painting markings, at least in my opinion. I'm just one person. But it's something that we really do want to take a good look at sooner than later, because it's important that we look at that project across all of our schools, frankly, not any subset of all of our schools. We weren't ready for prime time with it tonight with a subset of them. So I know Captain Irizarry and our team is working on putting together a proposal for all of the schools, and I would like to look at it sooner than later. I don't want to wait until next month, because we want to give the team in Public Works enough time, if we decide to move ahead, to get the paintings done before school starts at the end of August. So waiting until the 3rd week of July probably isn't a great idea. So my proposal would be, we do a special meeting. We can do it as soon as next week. Let's talk about days and hours that might work for us to get a quorum, that we can look at that proposal from Captain Irizarry for these markings and give Public Works and Engineering an ample timeline to get them done before school starts. So that's my item for new business. So how does everyone look for next week for a special meeting? And it would just be the one item. It's a special meeting. We wouldn't add anything else to the agenda. Maybe it takes an hour. Do you want to look at next Thursday at 4 o'clock just to keep it consistent, Mr. Randolph? And we can Zoom in if people are away. Emmeline? Anthony?
Sorry, I'm just checking my calendar. Hold on.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I can make Thursday work.
Thanks, Jeff. We just want to knock this one out, but do it the right way and, get as much data as we can into that proposal and give it a fair, viewing in front of the commission.
I unfortunately have an appointment that I can't shift, but
Are you better at 3 or 5?
I have it. It starts at 3:30, unfortunately.
You want to go for another day?
How about midday?
You want to do a lunchtime? I mean, I'm not sure if I would Zoom or sit here, but we could do it. Or we could pick another day. I'm here all week, so I'm going to work around you guys. And I know Hurley will be around because he's on vacation this week. And
I think he's out. He's out for. I don't know if
he's out until the 26th, right?
Oh, he's out 2 weeks. I'm sorry about that. So, but Meghai will be here to represent engineering, so we'll have engineering input.
And do people have availability on the 24th?
The evening is not great for me.
Okay.
24th is a Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay. So what's better for the group? Like a lunchtime Thursday thing or something on Wednesday? I could do either one, whatever's the pleasure. Anthony, what's your week like?
I can't do Wednesday, but I could do Thursday, either lunchtime or normal time.
Okay. And it's only one item. I would hope it wouldn't take 60 minutes, but I shouldn't say that.
I can do Thursday lunchtime.
Okay. You good? Good. So why don't we plan on that? I'll work with Prue and with Meghai tomorrow on an agenda and get that out by tomorrow. And it's just going to be the one item, and I think we're like 95% done with it. So we can get that out.
Can we start at 12:30? Would that be okay?
12:30 works for me. All right, so let's look at 12:30.
Since this is floating around, can you ask Prue to send out a meeting invite, an Outlook invite?
Yes, please.
5:30 on which day?
Thursday,
Thursday.
25th, right?
The 25th, because that gives us an hour for, Frank and I have an appointment at 11:30, but I think we can get through that in an hour.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Okay. So we're looking at Thursday, a week from today at 12:30. Fantastic. Guys, thanks for the flexibility and thanks for doing it. I know it's an extra meeting, but I think it's the right way to handle that particular matter. Appreciate that. All right.
12:30?
12:30 Thursday, yep.
Okay, thanks.
Got it. All right. Anything else? Going once, going twice, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Mr. Captain Irizarry, I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstentions? Good night. Thank you, guys.